We have the Tennessee schedule. Some people call it a cupcake schedule. I think they're full of crap. I think it's actually very similar to another SEC foe. And one, is it Texas that I'm thinking of that had to play Georgia, Alabama, Oklahoma? Like, I feel like this schedule is very eerily similar to Texas, I think.
Texas only plays Georgia this year. They don't play Alabama.
Okay, thank you. They played Alabama last year. That's fair.
I think Auburn is who you're thinking of.
Maybe. I felt like the big three, if you want to call it, maybe four. But, playing Georgia, Alabama, Oklahoma. Oklahoma obviously is not the, I guess if you want to call it right now, better of the two teams coming into the system. But I think for this team alone, for Tennessee, I think that Oklahoma game could be the second hardest game on the schedule. I really do. And that's a hot take. That's a very hot take, and I'm okay with that. But think about, one, Josh Heupel's night away woes. This Oklahoma game is 100% guaranteed to be at least 4 o'clock Eastern or later. Obviously, he's going back to his home where he played college football. I don't think it's going to be a hostile environment by no means, but I think it's going to be an emotional environment. I think this could be a game for Josh Heupel. He's going to want to win, don't get me wrong. But, I mean, how do we handle that? Oklahoma's first SEC game, they're not going to want to lose that. They don't want that narrative to come into the SEC and lose immediately, right? So we're going to get Oklahoma's best punch. Obviously, they do have a new offensive line out there. They have a new quarterback out there. What are they going to look like? We don't really know. But one thing I'm very confident in is our defense. No matter who we're playing, I think our defense can go toe-to-toe with anybody. And if our offense is as good as we think it's going to be, we just need to hope that those freshman mistakes from Nico are at a very minimum. And then I think we can absolutely hang with anybody. But without further ado, who wants the first crack at this schedule, brother? Who's going first?
You know what? I'll go first.
You go first? I appreciate you. Thank you so much.
Because as I go through it, I'm also going to update the folks on some of the events that are going to be going on certain dates this year. Tennessee announced a lot of those this past week. So UT Chat, week 1. I am so glad that we get one of these games to start the season for Nico, kind of get his feet underneath him a little bit. I don't think there's going to be many struggles to start the season, but I do think that it is great that they get this right here. So Skylar pulled it up right here. Game 1 against UT Chat. They are wearing these smoky grays. And let me take this schedule off for just a second.
No, you're good. I just wanted to show the folks.
Yeah.
How do you not like that, brother? That's just cold.
Hey,
that's ice. That's drippy.
I said I like these uniforms. I do. I just wish game 1 they come out wearing the orange and whites.
I understand. I think it's more of a Chattanooga, Tennessee, and then Tennessee, obviously, all in the mountains. Because, I mean, these smoky grays are a tribute to the Smoky Mountains. That's the whole issue or, theme behind them. Justin Williams, a Texas fan, by the way, best uniforms in the country. I don't know if I go that crazy on them, but,
the dark mode would be the best ones in the country, in my opinion.
But those grays, I think, are leaps and bounds better than last year's, and
those are the best ones since they first came out under Bush Jones.
I love the Tennessee across the chest. That's something different, never seen on a Tennessee football uniform ever, and I think it's subtle, but I think it's massive, in my opinion. But yes, go ahead with the schedule prediction. Sorry, I was just in all of the uniforms. Apparently, you're not. It's whatever. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine.
Just keep twisting my words over there. So,
fine. I mean, that's what I heard. What about the listeners?
So, UT Chat, week 1. UT Chat's going to win. No, I'm just kidding. Tennessee gets a win in week 1. And I do love that Tennessee plays this game at 12:45 that day. It's an early game. We don't have to sit there and wait all day long on the opening weekend to get Tennessee football. So, absolutely love that. Week 2, NC State is a neutral site game in Charlotte. Josh Heupel, it is a trend that each year he either loses a game or Tennessee does not play well in a game during the season, and it's on the road most of the time. I don't see a game this year on the schedule, in my opinion, that Tennessee just has a letdown game on the road, not a true road game.
All right.
I think
that lets me know where your mind's at in a couple of weeks.
I think this game is that game, though, if there is one. So that's why I have a loss to NC State in week 2.
That's a little.
If there is a game on the schedule where it's to happen, I think that it's here. Grayson McCall is a fantastic quarterback for NC State. They've got a loaded offense coming back. NC State is my dark horse pick to win the ACC this year as well. So if there is a place for this letdown game, I think it is early week 2, and Nico gets a lot of his maybe jitters, maybe little things that need to be adjusted some. I think he gets those out of the way early in this game.
Well, you got the chat box alive because they do not agree. They do not agree. I don't agree. That is harsh, is what Justin said. And JL, thank you for watching, by the way. That's not happening. I agree with JL 100%. That is, if you want to know if we were wearing orange glasses today during this segment, that's a hard no. That's a hard no. That is why. Okay, all right. So I just feel like this is almost going to be a home game for Tennessee. I mean, fans are going to travel very well for this game. It's just in Charlotte. I understand it's in North Carolina, so people think it's a home game for NC State, but Vol Faithful is going to travel for this game. Yeah, Robert, thank you. See, now Robert should like me a little bit more because this is unbelievable. Take the hate, brother. Take the hate. You deserve it.
Just wait until I'm done with my schedule prediction here, because
I don't know if people are going to stick around at this point. This is wild, brother. I mean, we're supposed to go to the playoff.
And we still might. Because we're going to pick up a win against Kent State in
week
3.
Yes. No, I'm joking. Go ahead.
Week 4, you do get the return trip for Josh Heupel to Oklahoma. This game, as you mentioned, it's that flex spot. It's either going to be afternoon or night. And I think there's too many unknowns around Oklahoma's program. You've got a freshman quarterback coming in this year. You've got a rebuilt offensive line from the transfer portal that we don't know if they're going to be meshed by this point or not. How good is that defense going to be? I think personally the defense will still be good because Venables out there is a defensive coach. They return most of their production on defense, but where's that offense going to be at? You're going to have to score points this year to beat Tennessee. It's not going to be like last year's offense. Tennessee goes to Norman and gets a win in week 4. You do get a bye week before you go to Arkansas. You get to beat Sam Pittman in his farewell tour at Arkansas.
We talk about bye weeks helping a team or not helping a team. Most people look at Arkansas and they're like, you shouldn't have had a bye week before that. I actually disagree. I think that's a great spot to have a bye week because I think Arkansas could be that team, especially on the road. Arkansas has a very underrated home field advantage. And that could absolutely be that game that we trip up on that this team in the past has done at some point. I think Arkansas is also in that flex position. Could be a night game. I think I love having the bye there after the Oklahoma week, especially with it being 2 away games in a row, having that bye week to kind of split up the travel plans. I think that's a massive win in the schedule, in my opinion.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you there. Let's see.
Hey. Sean Carpenter, we appreciate you tuning in. He said NC State will be tough, but not sure about them capable of that upset. Yeah, and then Matt, you might be winning over Matt. This is like recruiting and EA college football, brother. It's like you're getting warmer, but man, we were gone after the second week, brother. But all right, keep cooking, Chef.
Yeah, I sure will. Florida on October the 12th. This is the Checker Neyland game that has been announced. Tennessee will be Checker and Neyland for this Florida game. And
that's dub, baby.
That is going to be huge. Tennessee will win that game.
We will be in the classics, by the way. I think that's why they wore the Smoky Grays against UT Chat. But because you're not going to wear an alternate uniform against Florida or Alabama. You're just not. And so,
all right. So my opinion, I would have either wore them for that neutral site game against NC State, which it also depends on who the home team is. Because if you're the home team, fair. You can wear the alternates. Away team, you would probably have to wear your whites. I would have probably worn them for Kent State in week 3.
That's fair. Just in the past, you always wear the Smoky Grays in the first month of football.
Yeah.
And so you had to choose between Kent State, UT Chat. I mean, I guess they could have went Kent State, but you're not wearing them against Florida and Alabama. That's what I'm trying to get at. You're going to be wearing your classics. You're going to go dark mode against Kentucky or Mississippi State, but I'm pretty sure it's going to be Kentucky because Kentucky hates when we go dark mode. I love it. And then at that point, you're away at Georgia and at Vanderbilt. So, I mean, yeah, I don't know. I don't think they really have much of a choice. I think UT Chat's the right move. Get them out of the way. Robert checks in. I'm more concerned about playing the Sooners at Oklahoma, given the question marks, than NC State.
Hey,
I like where Robert Vaughn's at. I like
it could be. It very well could be.
Sorry to disrupt you.
Alabama, third Saturday in October. The baseball team will actually be recognized during this game right here for winning the national championship. So they'll be recognized during this one, third Saturday in October. I said during our Alabama predictions, I went back and forth on this one just based on the spot of it. This is Tennessee's third SEC game in a row, but you do get it at home. I think Tennessee picks up a win third Saturday.
Oh, we're cooking. Yes, sir. All right. Okay, I might forgive you on the NC State game. Keep going. All right, here we go.
Kentucky. Let me tell you why I guarantee a win against Kentucky
How
this
can
year.
you not, dude?
You get them after a bye week. You get them at home. This will be the dark mode game.
That's what I'm saying.
Because Mississippi State is homecoming. They're going to wear their classics on homecoming. They're not going to wear dark mode. This will be the dark mode game. Tennessee does not lose to Kentucky, especially not wearing dark mode. Tennessee is going to win big in this game right here.
Undefeated October going into November. I like it. Okay.
That's also Champions Weekend, so they'll be recognizing Tennessee baseball, men's basketball, and softball for their championships. You know, basketball and softball was SEC. Of course, baseball, SEC, and national. I think there was actually a couple of other sports that won some SEC titles as well. But
do we still have to say co-champion for SEC baseball champion? Or do we even care about that because we won the Natty? I think we don't even care.
We're absolutely not going to go co-champions because we won the national title.
I was going to say, that's what I'm saying. Like, I would almost give it to Kentucky. Yeah, you can have the SEC championship. We got the big one. Like, you know, whatever.
A shout out to Tennessee athletics, by the way, for choosing the Kentucky game for that. just throwing that shade there at Kentucky. And JL says it here. Kentucky doesn't win a kneeling. So it's a guaranteed win.
Josh Heupel might guarantee a win on the other coaches show for a Kentucky week. Might. Just saying.
He might not, but
I'm not seeing him do it. I was going to say, I've not seen him do that, but he might. All right.
Yeah. All right. November the 9th, Mississippi State. As I mentioned, this is the homecoming game. This one actually, I'm not worried that Tennessee is going to get beat, but this one actually worries me a little bit more than maybe an Arkansas or a Florida. This one actually worries me more than Kentucky does, just because Jeff Lebby runs the same style offense. But Tennessee will get a win in this one.
Oh, yes, sir. All right, now my faith has been restored because now I know what the worst case scenario of the schedule is. All right. You go ahead and finish it out, baby. That's what I'm talking about.
At Georgia, November the 16th. This is going to be a loss because until Tennessee can prove that they can beat Georgia, I'm going to pick Georgia to win this game.
That's
so. That Georgia game, we've
lost to them 7 years in a row. The 8th year ago, when the last time we won them, it took a Hail Mary to do it because our defense just could not stop water if you were on a boat or whatever. Look, I understand that pick. I don't think anybody's going to push against that pick. One, Georgia's number one in the polls. They're predicted to go all the way. I think with how the SEC championship went last year, Georgia's going to have a massive chip on the shoulder. They do have a tougher schedule this year, but I do think being between the hedges, this is a fair pick.
But I will say I do like the spot of this game for Tennessee because Tennessee plays Mississippi State at home the week before. I'm pretty sure Georgia gets Ole Miss on the road the week before.
Yes, absolutely. And Ole Miss will probably be some of the stiffer competition they'll see too, other than Alabama. Obviously, they play Alabama early in the year.
And they play Texas before that game too.
Yep. Georgia has a tough schedule.
Yeah, so I like the spot for Tennessee, but I still think on the road, Georgia, that's a loss. All right, UTEP, November the 23rd. This is going to be the Armed Forces game. That's another reason why this one you weren't going to wear smoky grays either. This might be when exactly is the We Back Pat game? When do they normally recognize?
It will either be UTEP or it'd have to be against Mississippi State.
Yeah, I think you're right on that.
Or they could do it unlike years past and just do it against Kent State. But I wouldn't think that they would do back-to-back home games, not doing just like some sort of classic uniform. So,
yeah, I agree with you. But yeah, win against UTEP, and then unfortunately you drop one to Vanderbilt. No, I'm just kidding. I'm totally
my boy has jokes. That's crazy. All right, so 10-2. What's your floor and ceiling with this team?
So, I'll start off with the ceiling. My ceiling for this team is 11-1 because, like I said, I can't pick Tennessee to beat Georgia right now. So I think that 11-1 is the ceiling. I think the floor, and this has to be where things go wrong. I mean, absolutely wrong for Tennessee, but I still don't see them being any worse than 7-5. I think this 3-game stretch against Florida, Alabama, and Kentucky is huge. So I could see losses to Florida and Alabama. I certainly hope not, because you get both of those at home. And then the obvious other one would be Oklahoma.
Yeah, 100%. That's fair. That's fair. All right. Yeah. You lost me on September 7th, and then you reeled me back in for the most part.
That's why I said just wait till the end. I've got Tennessee on 10-2, outside shot to make the playoffs. It just depends on what the other teams in the SEC as well as other conferences do from there. But Tennessee's going to have a legitimate shot with this schedule right here. If it was to go according to what I put, they've got a legitimate shot of making the playoffs with that right there.
Right on. And that is your schedule prediction for the 2024 season for the Volunteers. I'm going to get right into it. I'm not even going to waste any time. Zach says, clear the board. That's exactly right. Wipe it off, dude. Get that loss out of my sight on the NC State game. Because, brother, I'm going to just start it out with a dub. I mean, it is – I'm not even going to talk about it. NC State may be an underrated, sneakily good team, and I think they could be. Not good enough to beat Tennessee. I'm sorry. That's just not the way I see it. And then September 21st, I will be going to this game thanks to a friend of mine back when I lived in Oklahoma for a short stint. He said, man, if you can make it here, I got you a ticket. Now, I said yes like 7 months ago without realizing how much it took to get there. But I was already knee-deep, brother. I was like, you know what? I'm going. So, I ended up spending a lot of money on this. But whatever. I'm going to be there. It's going to be worth it. At Oklahoma, though, bunch of question marks around that team. There's not a lot of question marks around ours other than our secondary, right? But I still think, just given the away woes at night, this could be that game where we trip up. I do have a loss against Oklahoma. I think that's going to be a hard reset for this team to kind of temper a little bit of the hype a little bit, reset our focus right before the bye week. So basically in football talk, Josh Heupel's going to get in their ass, excuse my language, for the next week, reset their expectations, go week by week, and understand, look, we're not unbeatable. We're a team, and we're going to have to play together in order to win every game. And I think this team's capable of doing it. But I think this is kind of where that we need a reset moment right here. We need, that's our first stiff competition. Like I mentioned earlier, that's Oklahoma's first SEC game. They're not going to want to lose that. Even if they don't have the talent to necessarily win it, they're going to do everything they can to not lose it. So give me Oklahoma in that game. That hurts, I know, but let me cook here. At Arkansas, after the bye week, after the reset, I think that game's a blowout. I don't even think it's close. It's a win at Arkansas. Sam Pittman's probably not looking good after that.
Telling you, Sam Pittman farewell tour.
I'm telling you, I just don't think it's going to be a good season for them. I don't think it's going to be a great season for Florida, unfortunately. Even in Florida's worst seasons, they find a way to beat us, but not at our place. So I'll take the boys to beat Florida. I think that's going to be a big emotional win. It shouldn't be, but I think it's a great tone setter for who we get the next week. And that's Alabama. Welcoming Kalen DeBoer to Neyland for the first time. That is going to be just a monster game. You're going to be stuffing about 103,000 people into what I would say can only really hold 101 after that party deck got installed. But give me the boys against Alabama. I think, like I said, I think this team's going to have that real hard reset after that Oklahoma game. And this team, mind you, the last two seasons, is it 14-1 or 13-1 with their only loss coming to Georgia? They are undefeated at home in the last two seasons, other than that Georgia loss last year. I think they keep that. I think they keep that rolling, and they especially keep that rolling in the night game against Kentucky. One
thing I missed in my schedule prediction, also Josh Heupel is 8-1 as a head coach coming off of a bye week.
Yet another
reason they're not losing to Kentucky
or Arkansas for that matter. Yeah, I mean, I didn't even know that. I didn't pull that stat up.
I heard it this past week. His only loss coming off of a bye week was when he was at UCF and he lost to Memphis. I believe the score was 50-49 off of like a 2-point conversion, like a walk-off 2-point conversion for Memphis, something like that. That's his only loss coming off of a bye week so far as a head coach.
Well, look, Josh Heupel's a schemist, and when you give him 2 weeks to scheme against you, good luck. It's the way it is. I mean, the defense. I believe the defense is already preparing for NC State. Not that they're overlooking UT Chat by any means, but that there's no way. Like every team is always probably planning out 2 weeks ahead. You know what I mean? So, they're always staying up to date, trying to stay 2 weeks ahead of the thing. And when you get 2 weeks for the offense to scheme against your defense, it's hard to beat that, especially when you're talking about an offensive-minded guy. Mississippi State, we get them at home. That's going to be a win there. Mississippi State, I don't really know what to expect. I think they're going to be a flying offense. I mean, I think they'll actually score some points against us. I would say that they'd probably get 21 to 24 points against us. I hope not. I hope our defense is really good. But I could see Jeff Lebby in that offense being a little explosive, kind of like that, reminiscent of Air Raid Mike Leach, sort of, somewhat.
That's why Mississippi State makes me more nervous than even a Kentucky or an Arkansas, just because I think they're going to be able to score points this year.
Yeah, I've never been scared of Kentucky ever in my life.
I agree.
I will never, ever be scared of Kentucky. At Georgia, I agree with you 100%. Can't predict it till it happens. It's been 7 years. It took a miracle to win the last time, but we did beat them between the hedges last time. So It's not like it's impossible to win there. Just not picking it. UTEP and Vanderbilt, easy wins there. I think this team goes 10-2. I think their ceiling. I agree with you, JL. I think Mississippi State does lack the players, but again, I mean, look at what we lacked. Josh Heupel's first year here, and we almost beat Ole Miss. Went toe to toe with a lot of the big teams, but in that fourth quarter we fell off because we didn't have the talent. I'm gonna just take Robert's comment. Robert, I agree with you. My God, frame this. Screenshot it, please. So I'm going to frame it. All right. Robert says, screw you, Michael. I agree with Skylar. That's the first time he's ever said that. He didn't say screw you. All right. I threw that in there for me. Likely losses in Oklahoma and Georgia. Ceiling 11-1, floor 9-3 at the loss at Alabama. I'm actually going to disagree with the floor. I think the floor could be 8-4 with the loss to Florida too. Just because it's a mind game of Florida. Not that I want that to ever happen. But Justin says, just kidding, losses to Oklahoma, Alabama, and Georgia. Look, I think the floor here is 8-4 with losses to Oklahoma, Florida, Alabama, and Georgia. I think the ceiling is 11-1 with the loss to Georgia. I think it's pretty simple. Matt says, screw all of y'all. The ceiling, there is no ceiling. There is none. It's 12 and up. I agree with you, actually. Just not on record. I agree with you, and I can show you the best to prove it. So the ceiling is actually 12-0. Don't put a cap on this team. What are you thinking? I like you, Matt. Thank you for joining in. So that's our scheduled predictions on record for Tennessee football. NC State's wild, brother. That's a wild pick for a loss there. Definitely would make me feel a little bit like a Florida State fan being so excited for the season and then losing immediately. That would kind of suck. But
see, I know I'm taking this more as a personal standpoint here, but Cornersville a few years ago when they went to the state finals, they lost game 2 of the season, and pretty much they actually got embarrassed in that game. Ran the table to the state championship game. Unfortunately, got beat in that one, but I feel like if there is a loss early. And that Oklahoma game could be that game as well because it's still.
That's the way I look at it. I look at the Oklahoma game like that. That's me. I don't think NC State has the dogs. That's just me. Maybe Oklahoma doesn't either, but I don't know.
Yeah, so that's where I'm picking it. And plus, kind of wanted to be a little bit different. I knew after the schedule prediction that we did for Oklahoma, I knew you had the loss there. I had the win. I've really dug into this schedule, and the NC State game is the only one I can see as far as a road game because it's not a home game, but it's not a true road game. But that's the only place because of the teams that Tennessee gets this year. You know, you get Oklahoma on the road. I understand it's going to be a difficult game. I just feel like Tennessee is going to be a little bit better at this point. I guess a little bit more well-rounded at this point would be a good way of putting it. And then your other games are Arkansas, Georgia, and Vanderbilt. Georgia, we've already predicted is going to be a loss. And then I don't see a letdown against Vanderbilt or Arkansas.
Yeah. Yeah, I got you. That's agree. Look, and to your point about just being a little different, I agree with that because, like, honestly, I've had this in mind for over 2 months. Like, this is just how I've had the schedule, the season going, I guess. I was stupid and predicted them to go 12-0 on TikTok last year just because, you know, the beats thing that Joe Milton had and then him putting win in the East, like, really fired me up. And I was like, you know what? Screw it. Let's go. I just believed in Joe Milton's physical attributes. But at the end of the day, you got to have a little bit more than that, right? So it kind of hard reset me. Now, obviously, Nico is also sponsored by Beats, but he didn't put win the East in there.
He just put go out and win the Natty.
I was going to say because there is no. I didn't know if anybody catch that. There is no East this year, obviously. No, this is how I had the schedule working out, and then I realized that like so many people have this exact same prediction, and I'm like, well, that kind of sucks. But I didn't want to change it because like this is truly how I felt. And so I kept it. I do want to be different in a way, but I also want to be legit. I mean, this is how I truly feel like it's going to happen. If we lose to Oklahoma, it's going to suck. I'm going to hate it. I'm not going to be surprised by it, especially as long as we make those corrections and run the table up until Georgia. And honestly, if we lose to Oklahoma, I'd love for us to beat Georgia just to kind of help erase that loss out of my memory. And I think this team can. I mean, like Matt said, there's no ceiling on this team. There is no ceiling. How dare you put a ceiling on the boys? So, no, that is fair. I see this team finishing probably tied for 4th in the SEC when it's all said and done. I think this team, if they finish 10-2 along with Missouri, the way we predicted it, I think in the rankings, this team would get the nod. I think their schedule's a lot better as far as if they did like an RPI ranking, I guess. I don't know how do you call it. I think it's RPI in basketball. If they did like a ranking of the strength of schedule, which they do, I guess, technically, this team would absolutely get the nod over Missouri as far as the SEC or the national AP rankings. They could be an outside shot at making the playoff. I really do. I think they could be there with Ole Miss, Texas, Alabama, Georgia. It would be a fight. If there's 5 teams in, I think Tennessee's absolutely in. If they choke it down to 4 or even 3, I think Tennessee may not be in. But we'll see.